Kevin McCarthy swivels on Social Security spending cuts. Let's take a look at the current U.S. federal budget. Hello, this is Chart GPT today. You know, these budget issues are never going to go away here. And of course, this could be eventually something, regardless of your belief, left or right, that's going to come to home to roost someday. You keep spending and not having the revenues to cover it, it's eventually going to hit home here. Let's take a look at the current 2023 budget year and look at the past budget year 2022 and 2024. And McCarthy, he said in January of 2023 that Social Security, Medicare should be off the table. Now, fast forward to August of 2023, he says this isn't the end after some internal discussion. This doesn't solve all the problems. We're going to have to look at not just 11%. These are the discretionary budget items. We're going to have to look at the entire scope, which includes Medicare, Social Security, and interest on the debt. Well, of course, he might have said, well, that was discussion of the debt ceiling, but that's not, so he can play the game there and say, well, I was only speaking of the debt ceiling and not the entire budget. But this is gobbledygook. But everybody knows that eventually Social Security is going to have to be looked at one way or another. The whole budget's going to have to be looked at. Here's a chart on the federal budget in fiscal 2022, and of course we were at around 6.3 trillion in total, and this when we're focusing in on specifically the Social Security, which was 1.2 and about 747 billion in Medicare, and interest payments were 475. Now we won't look at the 2023, but in the 2024 you can see how this is ballooning. The net interest rate here is at 789, so it's similar, but Medicare is rising to 842 and Social Security going to 1.4, near 1.5, so you can see the difference. But if you actually take a look at the run rate here in 2023, you can see that comparing 2022 to 2024, there's a 22% increase in Social Security. Medicare is up 12%. Interest payments are up 66%. So this is a huge increase, and of course, some people put that lower. Some people put the on current rates at 1.2. So 1.2 trillion. So these numbers here are in trillions. So you obviously are going to have a huge increase in the budget, and these are kind of baked in the cake unless you want to cut Social Security and Medicare, which is some of the what call it the rail of the politics. The person who proposes that is going to get obviously suffer a lot of political damage, but nevertheless something's going to have to happen. And you can see here the current run rate between 2022 and 2023. We're actually we're probably going to hit between 1.8 to 2 trillion in deficit spending, and that's monstrous. And of course that's if everything in a golden situation. Taking a look at the projection going forward, you can see here the revenue is predicted to be pretty flatline. This is from the CBO, Government Accounting Office, and you see that the budgets are just going to continue to grow at a time. Now the question is, how high can these grow? It's hard to say before when something breaks down, but obviously this is in a situation where there's no more COVIDs, no more wars, no nothing. Typically what happens is you get these financial crises that it resets to higher levels. But the key thing to focus on there is net interest spending. So this is kind of another idea that eventually they're going to have to cut rates, because in order to reduce the interest payments, you have to reduce the interest payout. But if you reduce the interest payouts, you're going to increase potential inflation. So it goes without saying. Here's a longer term on the percentage GDP to the debt going forward, and you can see it's just starting to go hyperbolic here. And of course here's a chart on how big of the interest spending is going to be. Pretty soon it's going to be nearly half of the budget by the time we get out to the end of it. So something's going to happen between now and then. I suspect it will have this great reset that everybody's talking about. It's mathematical baked in the cake. We asked the AI what kinds of things could be done to help the budget. I'm not too impressed with its output, but it's probably playing politics with us a little bit there. Take our online poll. What is your feeling? Is this deficit a problem? And if so, how long do you think we can go under these scenarios? Longer than we think or shorter than we think? Don't forget to subscribe.